Hi there, it's Jared Hamilton with the Hamilton Group at Cherry Creek Mortgage. Welcome to another edition of Java with Jared. Thanks very much for joining me. Hope you guys are doing fantastic and ready for a really good weekend. Well, here's what happened with interest rates. They were relatively unchanged. You know, we're off a little bit or a little bit higher than the all-time lows reached about 2 weeks ago, but interest rates are still fantastic. Here's what affected the market this week. We saw the producer price index, and it came in at down 1%. That's the overall producer price index. Expectations were for it to be down 0.7%, but it actually was a little bit weaker than expected. The core rate came in at up 0.2%. That shows that inflation is not an issue, and things are a little bit weaker than what was expected, and you know, just pretty weak overall. But the reality is inflation is in check, according to the producer price index, which is good for interest rates. Also on Wednesday, we saw retail sales. Those numbers came in down a little bit more than expected. They came down about 0.2% as well. Now Thursday, we saw the consumer price index come out, and that's the measure of inflation at the consumer level. Producer price index is a measure of inflation at the wholesale level, and that was about as expected. It did come down about 0.3%. Expectations were down 0.2%, so pretty close, but again weak, and the core rate came in up 0.2% over the previous month, which was just as expected. Also on Thursday, we saw the weekly jobs data. That came in showing some weakness. And then today, industrial production, today Friday, came in, and that showed a negative 0.1% versus expectation of a positive 0.1%. So pretty close to expectations, but again showing weakness. So the reality is that there's really not a lot of great things happening in the market in terms of for economic expansion. The thing that's really going to be looked at is what's happening this weekend in Greece. Well, and before I get to Greece, next week we also see something happening that's pretty important, and that's going to be the Federal Open Market Committee. They are meeting on Wednesday, or they're going to make the announcement on Wednesday what policy is going to be for the next 6 weeks. And the market is expecting that there might be some talk of new economic incentives or new economic expansions with QE3. So quantitative easing 3 might be happening next week. We just don't know, and I'll keep you updated on next week's Job with Jared. But the real big data is going to be what happens in the election here in Greece over the weekend. Greece will be electing a new political system. There's two things that are two parties that are vying. One is the New Democracy Party, and they are pro-Europe. They want to keep within the confines of the EU and keep the economic entity together in the European Committee. And there's also the Syriza Party, who they want to just bail on that altogether, and they think that, you know, if they just stop all this austerity measure, the EU will shower them with money, and they shouldn't be paying attention to trying to keep their debts in check. And if that happens, it's expected that Greece will be out of the EU. So there's, and that, who knows what's going to happen with the overall financial markets if that happens. So there's just a lot of trepidation about what's going to happen in Greece. It's going to set the tone for the next few months, or actually the rest of the summer. And all eyes are really watching what's going on with Greece. So that's what's going on with the market. If you have any questions, give me a call. Hope you guys are doing great. But, you know, economic data is that it's still weak, and there's still all this turmoil in Greece, and things are kind of coming to a head. So we expect interest rates to remain really low here for the remainder of the summer. Hope you guys are doing wonderful. I'll let you know if anything changes. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.